All right, Taylor, you see this puddle of oil right here? Yeah. You should have saw it up the road where I drove the first time. Welcome everybody. Walking down the shop, the dually's down here already. I have a fresh shit of rubbers to go on Grandma's truck with brand new wheels. So I just knocked out Taylor's truck. She needed new tires. So while I was down there getting her new tires, I got some for Grandma's truck. Don't mind the hair, I lost the hat when I was hustling with her tires. So I went with some 3rd gen aluminum like Laramie wheels to keep Grandma's truck simple. But the problem I ran into, now this is just, it's not really a problem, but I didn't really like the look of how the flatbed had so much gap right there. Like where Boone just sat down, the gap is too much. And I had been looking at a certain set of wheels for a while, found a set on Craigslist, pack of 5 of them, went and bought them for a fraction of the price, brand new tires on it. I'm going to try slapping them on here tonight. I only have half the lug nuts that I need, but we're still going to try it. And then get the dually ready to go to Nevada this weekend, get the new trailer, get Grandma, get a bunch of other stuff, and hopefully timing kit shows up for this. That's a sneak peek. It's been fuel related this whole time, but main bearings, rod bearings, that's definitely a good thing to have knocked off the list. But take a good look at it, guys. I'm going to slap these new tires and wheels on. I am excited to see how it's going to look. Enough of that. Put the first tire and wheel on. I was kind of a little, definitely doesn't help that the truck doesn't match. Because that door, just wait till it gets painted. Just take a look at that side. Stock. The grandma appeal, the grandpa appeal, the elder, like the gentleman's, the cowboy truck. Definitely there. I don't mind that at all. And by the way, nobody asked if I'm going to sell these tires and wheels, because when the ones wear out on my 98, I'm just going to put these on there. So they'll be in storage until then. And then you come over here. We'll see how it looks when it's all set down on the ground. But this is the part that I really like right here, is how much that offset helped that gap right there. Fits perfectly. Perfect! A little funny in the front, but perfect in the back. Wish this bed was just a tad bit narrower. It doesn't need this flare right here. You see how it's got a little... Doesn't need that. It could just be... I saw the same bed on like a 90... mid-90s, whatever. Ford 7.3 rig. Extended cab. 8-foot bed. Same flatbed. Man, it looked like a huge dude that had skipped leg day since the beginning with that truck, because it had little tiny tires and wheels that were on standard offset, which was none, and they look goofy. And I do not want this truck to look like that, but once I get this set on the ground, we'll find out. We'll find out. Comment below what you guys' thoughts are, which one you go with, just judging by this appearance. But once we get the nice ones on this side, it'll be a different look. There is a definite difference between the side with the mismatched door and this side over here. Freaking love it. Now, there's one thing that I'm going to change right off the bat, and is the placement of the mud flap. Oh, it's kind of dark for you guys back there. It looks like a cave. What the heck? Come on, camera. See, you got the mud flap all the way back here. Now, it's just going to get heated up and probably crap out. Plus, it looks... I'm going to say it looks stupid right there. It's already kind of warped a little bit from the little bit I've ran it. So I'm going to put that up here. It's going to give it a cleaner look. But let's talk about the wheel and tire setup. Now, these wheels... I got an extra one too, but they're Pro Comp off-roads. I don't know. That's what brand they are. There's a model number right there if you want to look them up. I had been looking for something similar to this for the longest time, because I wanted to go with some black wheels with a little bit of offset like I have on my 04, and same thing with Taylor's truck. If you guys didn't know, Taylor's truck and my 04 have the same exact rims, but they don't make that rim anymore. But I guess I could call these black Alcoas. Black Alcoas. On the single wheel. I really like these, look, and I wanted to go with the smaller tire. Now these things, what are these? These are 285 7017s on stock 3rd gen aluminums. These are 265 7017s, so they're just a little bit smaller tire, but I kind of like that look better because it accents a wheel a little bit better, and it doesn't quite look like a bro truck. You get too much tire on top of wheel, it looks like a bro truck. And I like this look because it looks straight up grandpa status, but it's got a new age twist by having that black wheel. Plus it's got that little bit of an offset. Oh, that looks so much better right here. Oh man. The little things, something super simple. But I looked for these for the longest time. Couldn't find a set that I liked with tire combo. You know, trying to go the easy route that somebody already bought it and I would save half the price. So I went and got those. Those are nice. I like the look of those. I'll find a use for those. I think I paid $600 for those brand new tires, and I paid $400 for these wheels, but I got an extra one, and I think I paid, hustled the guy at Discount Tire, I don't know, maybe the set was about $700. Yeah, I think it was only about $700, and then I got some other stuff, but then they took it back because they were out of stock on some lug nuts, so that's why I don't have all the lug nuts. But I'm happy with that, guys. This is not going to be the full-length video. Next time you see this, I will have the power driven diesel timing kit, so we're going to clock the timing, advance it a little bit. But like I said, the knock has gone down quite a bit. A lot bit. But we're still going to clean it up a little bit more. This is by far the meanest sounding, most throttle responsive engine setup that I think I've ever experienced, and I'm glad that I continued trying to figure out what could be wrong with the engine, why I was knocking. Man, the story, I'll go into that once I get those other parts, because that'll save for another day. My battery's running low, but we'll see you guys on the next one. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for, yeah, whatever. And this is the point where I think the engine is running good enough that I will take it for a drive and find out that a little bit of a fuel knock issue I had been experiencing was not the worst thing that I was going to be dealing with this great deal engine. It wasn't cheap, it wasn't expensive, it was made sense on the price. It was a time waster. Watch this, you'll get a kick out of it. Well boys, my first drive with Grandma's truck, I thought I had a bad oil leak, and I crawled underneath there. It's worse than a bad oil leak. I'll show you guys in a second. It kind of rips the 24 valve P-pump swap. I don't know, I think the clutch might have already died too. 450 horsepower clutch. I don't know if she held. But we get back to the house, I put a catch can on it, and well, for that shit didn't help one bit. That shoot didn't help. So this engine is coming out of the truck. I am going to need a new one. This is not gonna work, and I'm about tired of it. Oh, brother bear. All right, we'll get back to the shop and I'll show you guys what's going on, and I'll show you how I know we have some very, very bad issues. All right, Taylor, you see this puddle of oil right here? Yeah. You should have saw it up the road where I drove the first time. I found out what I thought was making the oil mess, because at first I was like, oh, pressure line, feed tube came loose for some kind of oil. But then I started looking, and you remember on that Mega Cab how it had blow by? And if you guys know blow by, you gotta crimp off this tube down here, which is your crankcase vent. On the newer trucks it just feeds back into the block and stuff like that. Or you flip that thing over and then you can see blow by. That's the easiest way to check. If it's bad, that will show it. But on 24 valve you need to block this off to really tell. And I've always known, like 24 valves, they seem like they're kind of prone for a little bit of blow by. And well, it got a little bit more than I was really hoping for, because I somewhat straightened up the knock a bit less. So I turned that down and the knock went down significantly. So I thought it was really for a test drive, but I had all that oil. And so I thought it was the crankcase vent. So I put a catch can in it. I drove up just the top of the hill, 3-minute drive, And then you see all this oil that came out of that tube? That's supposed to be in the engine. You can see how everything is just nice and shiny and covered in brand new oil. This is the catch can that's just supposed to catch a little bit of oil. It filled it in 3 minutes. I think I could live with the knock a little bit more than I could live with the excessive oil dumping out of the crank vent. I wonder, because it doesn't do it unless you get under boost, and it hadn't seen boost until I drove up the road today.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Look at, you can see it. It's smoking right now. Son of a... What to do, Taylor? What would you do?
You go out for a day and then figure it out after that?
I've been trying to figure it out for a while.
I know.
Because I knew it was going to happen, but at the same time, I was really hopeful it wouldn't. But it's back in its resting spot. I think I could go back a little bit more, couldn't I?
You have the radiators back there.
Hey, it eats up a lot of real estate when it's got a bed on it and a bumper.
It seems a lot bigger in here now.
I guess it doesn't really matter because it's just going to, next weekend I'm going to fire it up when Grandma gets here.
That's true.
You want to refilm that part that we did earlier?
Which part?
Where we talked about what happened? You want to refilm that part?
If you want.
Alright. Okay. Where to start? Let's go back because when I put these wheels on, that's what I'm going to wrap this video into. I found out through some magic on Facebook. There was a Facebook post. Somebody was selling 24 valve injectors. He said that he put them in his truck because he thought he had an injection knock. Turned out it wasn't his injectors, so he put his old ones back in and was selling the new ones that he bought to replace those. And so I asked him what was the problem. Why did he have a knock? It happened to be a P-pump 24 valve swap just like this. For one, my timing is not right. I need to advance the timing 4 degrees at minimum, and I'm waiting on the parts, but coronavirus, post office, Democrats, whatever. It hasn't showed up. It's 2 weeks late. So I haven't got that, but what he said he did, here, I'll pop the hood and I'll show you, is for the delivery valves. He says there's a fine little adjustment that you can do. He said a valve on injection number 6. So, let's see here. We'll go for this one right here. You guys, your delivery valve is in this bad boy. And these 2 nuts on each side, you can loosen those. They're tighter than hell. But you loosen them and you can fine tune each injector just a little bit. From factory, they're all supposed to be tuned up, lined up, and be pumping the same exact. But somehow, maybe, well, his was a new injection pump, rebuilt. And I guess they didn't quite get it just right. So he backed off number 6, and that's what I did. I cracked. Okay, I want to jump in right here. I wanted to make a full segment on doing this because it actually helped. What I did is I took where it was from factory, or possibly factory, I have no idea. I wish I knew more about this engine. But I took my screwdriver, put a nice scratch down the side of the delivery valve pedestal, down onto the pump, so I knew where I started from. And I turned it about half of that scratch, fired it up. It sounded a little cleaner, but I wasn't quite sure, so I backed it back off to where it was from factory, and the knock was very much there. So I moved it a full width of the scratch. It's a very fine amount of movement that you get out of one of these, and the knock calmed down a lot. I didn't film it, and I don't know the fate of this engine, so I don't know if I'll make another segment on that, but that actually cleaned it up just by adjusting one injector off the pump. It calmed the knocking down quite a bit. because you guys just saw what the knock was doing. It was not really there. It didn't sound as bad as it had been, and I put a new pressure relief valve return on it, and it starts up like a champ now. But what happened when I took it for its first test drive 20 minutes ago, drove it over to Austin's house, which is my neighbor's. He's right over there. Nobody is home. Neighbor's dog was eating all the guts from his deer season right in the driveway. Some lady showed up and like,
Lovely.
she was like, Theodore, and I was like, who's Theodore? Oh, the dog. And she grabs him. She's like, sorry. Got in her car and took off.
That dog
But
is gonna have some issues
yeah.
tonight.
Well, I was feeling good at that point. I was like, all right, I'm just going to take this thing for a rip up the road. And when I pulled over to check it 3 minutes up the road, tons of oil all over the place underneath the truck. So I coasted it back down the hill. You have to leave it running or else I got no power brakes, no power steering. If you have ever driven one of these without either of those, pretty much a death trap. So I brought it back here, started checking stuff. I started from the back of the engine front because it's all covered in oil. And what I found was, what I thought was a crankcase vent was a little moisture inside of it. And I knew this thing had a little bit of blow by, but I wasn't really worried about it. Cylinder 6 got a little scoring on the cylinder wall. Not something I was too worried about, but it did have some damage, and that might be our problem. But it got worse from there. So what I did is I put this catch can on it. It's like maybe like a 8-10 ounce catch can, a little bit smaller than a soda. Pressure washed everything off, took it for the same trip. It only built about 20 psi boost, which isn't good. And I pulled over there, up there, no oil anywhere underneath the truck except for down here on the control arms where my crankcase vent comes out. Now you can see how much oil is dripping off of it now. And I'll clip the one in from earlier where I pulled the catch can off. It is completely full of oil, so it's pushing oil extremely bad. And I was just starting to think, I was like, well, it could be as terrible as I think it is, but maybe it's just something weird with where the crankcase vent is with the P-pump. And then I noticed that the dipstick has a whole crap load of oil spewing out over it. It's on the windshield, it's everywhere. So we are in bad shape right now. Bad shape. The engine that I thought was supposed to save me a bunch of time and energy and develop something unique and cool has bit me in the ass. And I was thinking perhaps it's punishment for not just taking the money and rebuilding Grandma's engine, because right now the engine, the way I bought it, P-pump swapped, ready to go in, it's $3,800. P-pump swap with a P-pump is around $2,800 to $3,000, somewhere in there. So basically I have a long block core that I could ship off and get a new one in replacement of it, kind of a thing. Core charge is about $1,000, $1,500, and that's all that thing is worth right now. But I talked to my uncle, he's down to rebuild it. But the thing is Grandma's gonna be here next weekend. And I told her I was gonna take her for a ride in it. So this thing, I'm gonna empty out my catch can when she comes to town, and we're gonna go putt-putt. I'll probably disconnect the turbo so I don't have any boost trying to push anymore. But I was talking to my buddy Roland because I had to share it with the bad news to him, and he was like, just take that crankcase vent and stick it back in your oil fill cap right on the top, then just recirculating the oil.
That seems smart.
And then we can run it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh man, I don't know. We can find another spot to tie it into. But for right now, I think this engine is completely screwed. It was a waste of money, time, energy. Not one thing's been good about it. It started off as good sounding, running, good oil pressure on the stand. Cold, it's not bad. Once it gets warmed up, it gets to like 40 on that and 40 on the dash. So oil pressure's still kind of there. Not that I'm not worried about low oil pressure, but I do believe it's a fuel knock that we're hearing. But the excessive blow by is where I draw the lines on trying to save, because there's 100+ hours messing around with this damn thing, in and out, putting it in, just trying to swap the whole wiring harness over so that I have all my stock gauges inside the truck that fit the 24 valve versus the 12, because there's quite a few things that are a little bit different. And everything was working up until it didn't. So comment below what you guys think, if you've ever had it fill a whole catch can 8-10 ounce catch can. Keep saying ounces like this is making me want to bartle feet pretty bad. I'm definitely thirsty now. But anyway, let me know if you guys ever had something that bad. Until next weekend, this thing's not going to move. I'm not going to touch it. I washed it off before I pulled it in here. I'm going to take Grandma for a ride in it, or else I would start probably tearing it apart. Maybe not tonight, but this week. But you guys get to see my new trailer coming next weekend, and my grandmother is going to ride back with me because I buy stuff from the dealership out there in her neck of the woods. And she'll come back, get a ride in it. She's excited. She's kind of bummed to hear the engine's bad. I told her that tonight. Take a step back, Taylor. What do you think of this truck? Aside from the engine being shit.
Besides from the engine, it's a pretty cool truck.
I gotta remind anybody that's watching it for the first time, there was a factory 12 valve with an automatic. It is a 6-speed manual, NV5600 in there now. Obviously the dash isn't all back together, so that's a neat touch. 4-wheel drive still intact, and 4-chin Laramie leather seats around there. This is nice and comfortable driving up the hill. Nicest second gen that I've ever been in. It's got the nicest sounded fuel knock and blow by. See you guys in the next one. See ya. Let's summarize today's discovery. Massive blow by to the extent level of pushing tons of oil. I mean, this is the last time that I think I'm going to be purchasing an engine off of somebody off of Craigslist. Now, the way I feel about this engine right now, I do feel confident that I can rebuild it. By definition, 6 years ago, I did graduate a diesel mechanic school. I have certification, yada yada, who cares? You gotta have a piece of paper if you want to be a mechanic, and that's what I thought I wanted to do back then. Bought this engine trying to speed up the process, because the process, as you've seen, it's been kind of a lot of effort, and I put in a lot of hours off camera trying to get this ready, only find out that the engine that was supposed to save the time is the biggest time waster yet. But the way that I'm thinking about this engine, if I do rebuild it, obviously I'd like to put it back in the truck, but I kind of have trust issues with it at this point. I could rebuild Grandma's engine, I could rebuild this one, but I really, really want that P-pump 24 valve thing. Now I'm probably going to look back on this in a year or so like I always would and go, that was such a simple thing, just go ahead, rebuild it, re-knock it out. Or I mentioned this before on here, you can still buy a brand new P-pump, or not brand new P-pump, maybe one of those two, but a brand new 12 valve or a brand new 24 valve long block. Throw your injection pump on it, do your turbo manifold, stuff like that, throw it in the truck ready to go. I've never really liked VP44 engines, the whole thing, either if you got 55 block, 53 block, whatever. My dad's never had good experience with it. Austin's got one. He hasn't lost a VP44 in a while. He's got a decent lift pump on it, but every once in a while it acts up. It's got blow by. My dad's got 150,000 miles on his engine. He bought it brand new. It's got blow by since 100,000 miles. Brand new. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason. And this one here, it's definitely seen some abuse in its past life. But, man, Grandma's 12 valve got beat to hell, and it didn't have blow by. Didn't have one lick of blow by. Did have, head gasket failure. But my whole point of that is, if I rebuild that engine and I don't use it in this truck, use it in another project, I would have to, because if I can't trust somebody else on Craigslist, how am I going to sell one of my engines on Craigslist thinking somebody's supposed to trust it? And even though I know and will document everything on here and make a video of rebuilding it, which I might do, that might be, you guys would be interested in that. But in the meantime, comment below what you guys' thoughts are. There's a lot of people on Instagram already saying that I should have just kept a 12 valve in it. That's the easy way to go. It's damn tempting. But I'm going to give Grandma a ride in this truck next weekend. That'll be a fun video. And I don't know, I still got a turbo and a manifold I can take off of it. Anybody want to buy an engine? A little blow by. Might be low on compression on at least 4 cylinders. Thing is, it fires up, and it actually, despite the sound of a fuel knock, I'm pretty confident it's fuel related. It runs smooth. up until 20 psi, which could be wastegate or just hole in a piston. It pulls pretty good. Well, we're gonna end it here, guys. That's the devastating news, I guess. I think the fact that it's been such a drawn out process with this engine not meeting my expectations from the first immediate startup sounded great, and then it started to develop the fuel knock, and then working with those kinks and then doing the main and rod bearings, I've just kind of grown upset with this engine to the point where if it threw a rod tonight, I would have been like, whatever, finally, let's take it out. I don't trust it anymore. And I only known it for a week, kind of a thing. It's like the fact that it's got so much blow by, and that I get to take this piece of crap out of the truck. I'm kind of excited for it. Get that thing out of the truck after it gives one rip for Grandma. Funny story is, her and I, when that truck was brand new, when I was freaking probably like 9 years old, I guess the truck was a couple years old at that point, we got stuck in the snow and had to leave that truck in the snowdrift, and we had to hike 9 miles. So if it breaks down on us, that's not the first time that dang truck pooped down on us. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching these videos, and yeah, hell yeah, brother. See you on the next one. Later.